Hello everybody, this is Hammers Tracker here. Look what has arrived, the Springfield Armory Hellcat. This has kind of stirred up a whole bunch of interest in the short period of time that it's been known about. They pretty much announced it and quickly got it to market. They're still very hard to find right now, but should be fairly shortly that they'll be readily available. The Hellcat slides into that territory that the P365 came into, of a single stack, real small handheld pistol that holds quite a number of rounds. Instead of the 6 or 7 in these little single stacks, it's kind of a single and a half stack, and it holds 11 or 13, plus of course the one in the pipe. So just wanted to quickly show it to you guys. It just arrived. We're going to get some range time with it and check it out. But in the meantime, I wanted to just do a quick side-by-side comparison to a handful of guns in this territory. Not going to go into a lot of detail in this video. We'll do a full review and other full comparisons. But let's get started just kind of showing you real quick the characteristics of this. One thing you'll see about this empty one is that it has a polished feed ramp like the XDM series does. And it has kind of a unique texture. It doesn't have the same texture that the XDS and the XDMs have. And unfortunately we don't have a P365 to compare it to, but we've got a lot of others that are in the competing small single stack-ish. It's a little bit fatter than a single stack, but it's not as fat as a full-size double stack. It's kind of got a short grip, which is, this is what really matters when you're trying to conceal carry, is hiding this grip because it sticks out backwards. And it has a reasonably small slide, and it comes with night sights. The front sight is a fiber optic with a ring, so it's easy to see during the day and it glows at night. And the back is just a U, so it's a white U, which is really easy to see. And and unlike Glock where the U is kind of a square, this U is actually a U. There are no night characteristics with the back U, and it comes with a 13-round extended magazine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring out several different guns. We're going to do everything with the flat magazines, the smallest, flattest magazine that it comes with, because of course the target of this is concealed carry. And I'll mention the capabilities. This one's 11 rounds, and we'll mention what the various other guns have for their capacity, and just kind of do a quick side-by-side comparison. And in order to move along expeditiously, everything that we're going to bring out has been cleared. All the guns I'm going to bring in, they'll come in locked back, and then I'll close them, but I'm not going to go through show and clear on every one of them. We both double-checked it. And we'll start with the first 3 that I'm going to bring out hold 6. The first one, and is really the smallest one, is the DB9. And by the way, they do now have available a flat base plate magazine for it, but at the time that Diamondback gave us this gun, this was the magazine that was available. So I'll probably get one of the flat ones. But you can see that it is significantly shorter, and significantly can kind of vary depending on context, but in the concealed carry a little bit kind of matters. And it is much thinner, but you only get 6 rounds. So for a little bit more thickness, you're getting 11 rounds here. And of course, I'm going to quote the magazine capacities. All of these are capable of going out with 1 in the pipe. These are quite nice gun, actually. The next size up, not a whole lot bigger than the DB9, is the Car PM9. And when I set that side by side, it's about the same length as the DB9, and it's still just a hair shorter than the Hellcat. But you're starting to get a little bit thicker. So you're starting to get a little closer to the Hellcat, but you can see there's still a noticeable difference in the thickness between the two of them. And again, we've still got 6 rounds in the PM9. Now some of these guns have longer, higher capacity magazines available, but again, for the purpose of concealed carry, we're just going to focus on the smallest one. Then of course we stumble across the Glock. Now the point where actually you might say this isn't smaller, it's bigger. Well, yes, it is longer by a little bit. This is the Glock 43, so we are doing 9mm to 9mm. The Glock is still a hair thinner, but we're getting real close now to matching thickness. Then if we move along to the first gun that's actually I would consider bigger, we have the MC1 from Mossberg. This is 6 as well, and it uses the same magazines as the Glock 43, and it's noticeably longer, so that now the length is starting to be outweighed by the thickness, because the thickness is almost the same. So far I've given you guns that are just slightly smaller than the Hellcat, but with a noticeably different capacity. They've all been 6 up to this point versus the 11. Now for the last true single stack in the list of ones that I'm going to show you, we have the Springfield XDS. And this has got your classic XDM-ish looking characteristics, XD, XDM, just thinner. Like the MC1, it's noticeably longer, and you can see when I turn it around, you'll be able to see that it's also a little bit taller and a little bit thicker. So turn it around, you can see that it's about the same thickness and it's just a hair taller. And we still have now 7 rounds capacity, so we've gone up in round capacity, but we've now got a slightly larger gun at this point. As we move into the double stack, that was the last of the single stacks. As we move into the double stack territory, we've got to have a Glock 26 because it's one of the standards in concealed carry. Now this one happens to have a Crimson Trace laser guard laser on it. Without the laser, the profile here would be a little bit lower, but the overall length and height of the gun isn't changed. But you can see that the Glock is longer, and the height is roughly the same, but I did mention that we're in the single stack territory. It's fatter. And pretty much everything that we go along with is going to be fatter, so it's about the same height, but it is fatter. And we're now up to getting close to equivalent characteristics. This holds 10 plus 1 in the pipe, and this holds 11 plus 1 in the pipe. So now we finally reached the point where we have equivalent capacity, but we're now into much larger guns overall. The Walther PPQ SC, by Walther of course, is similar in concept to the Glock 26, but bigger than both. So when I line these guys up, you can see that the PPQ is noticeably longer. We're now at the point where the difference is going to start to matter in where you can put it, pocket, when you sit down, things like that. The height is roughly equivalent, but notice the thickness. We're into that full-on fat double stack territory, and we're still at 10 rounds in the PPQ. As we move towards one more gun, we're finally going to actually go over the capacity. I have this AM2 that Diamondback sent us, and now you're going to notice the grip is much taller and the length of the gun is much taller as I line them up, or longer as I line them up. And the thicknesses are about the same. The AM2 is actually a little bit thinner than the other Glock and the PPQ, and so the other kind of fatter double stacks. The AM2 is kind of a single stack and a half-ish gun, and it's only a little bit taller, and it's almost like you could say it's 1 round taller. So the other than the noticeably longer, the AM2 is probably pretty close to the concept of this because the thickness is very similar to it. And then the last one that I'm going to show you is the FN FNS 9C, which is a true double stack, and we've still got 12 rounds. But again, you get that longer length, and you get more height, again, 1 more round of height, and the fatter grip. So to some extent, you can't get around physics. You need place to put the rounds, so that extra round is adding grip height, which of course does affect concealed carry capability. But if you look at it, they almost defied physics when you say that they've got 11 rounds in a footprint that most guns can't contain even 10, and then when you get to the Glock 26, it holds 10 in the same grip height, but it's fatter. So they have done an amazing job of doing what SIG has done, and a couple other manufacturers are now trying to do, of creating that ultimate concealed carry gun. Then, because you've got super thin, nice and small, easy to carry, but you don't give up capacity. And this has even got 1 more round than the P365. The current leader in this territory is the SIG. This could possibly dethrone that gun. A couple other quick points before we get into, in a future video, hopefully within the week we'll have a full review. We just need to get some trigger time. Talking about trigger's a little flatter, which is starting to become the rage, the flatty triggers. It's got a little bit of curvature to it, but it's a little bit flatter. It's got a nice texture. You see when the dongle goes in, it kind of goes flat. It's got a Picatinny rail mount that beats out the Glocks in this size territory. It's got kind of a nice texture grip. It looks sandpaperish, but it doesn't feel sandpaperish. Front and rear serration. So it's got a lot of the characteristics people are looking for. So hopefully within a week we'll get the full review out, get a little bit more range time with it. and we'll do some more in-depth comparisons between this and some of the other competitors in the market, and maybe we'll stumble across a P365, but at this point we don't have one. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, check us out on Facebook, Patreon, Gunstreamer, Twitter. We're all over the place. And have a great day. Thank you.